Yes, you've made me lazy, Leo. I don't have to do anything anymore. Yes, you've made me lazy, Leo. I don't have to do anything anymore. Doing TA on meme coins.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are back, NinjaTrader Live. My name is Jim Cagnina, and as promised, we're going to have the OrderFlow Labs guys trading live on the close. I know for a fact that Leo is in a trade right now. So I'm going to be super quick on the intro here just to go over some key markets really quickly here. Micro NASDAQ, I think this is the market that Leo is in. Big range today. Finally, we broke the ATR, 466 points. Really just kind of fell out of bed past all of the options levels and the pivot levels and really kind of took a dive, having a little bit of a rally at the end of the day, and this is what these guys are going to talk about in a second. So we'll see if we get back into the initial balance. Remember, the bottom of the initial balance is all the way up here at 20 to 25, or if we take a turn for the worst. Let's take a look at the E-mini S&P. It's real similar. A lot of systematic price behavior going on between the stock index futures. Again, almost identical look and feel, although maybe the ES didn't take quite the hit initially as NASI did. And the average true range is still ahead of the range for today, which was 86 handles. We did get to S3 though. Rarely do you see we get a chart with S3 on it. But again, kind of rallying the last 30-minute candle and then some right now. Lastly, I just wanted to cover the Bitcoin really quickly. All the other markets are kind of muted, which is kind of surprising, right? Why the equities are taking it on the chin, I don't know. We're still in the March contract right here, kind of sideways. Again, this is a tight range, consolidation range we've been seeing for the last several days in micro Bitcoin. Call resistance, we traded over it. We talked about why in the morning, how a lot of times, especially in this particular market, these levels, yeah, they're good levels, but sometimes you kind of penetrate them up or down a little bit as you go. Uh, Put support right now in the high vol level at 8,700 is actually acting as resistance right now. I mean, you could just see we don't have a body of a candle that traded there since the big break during the opening range, and we're hovering around Jacks 3 at the bottom here of the session. Other than that, everything else is, the interest rates are kind of down a little bit. Not a big deal, though. Everything else is muted. So it's a very, very interesting day. Having said all that, I do want to, like I said, I want to bring in OrderFlow Labs guys right away. Sooner the better. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Jim?
Hey, Jim.
I'm doing great, man. Great interview. Thank you for spending time with me yesterday, Leo. Nick's on the hot seat tomorrow. We're gonna get into it with Nick. So thanks for doing that, guys. And I know you're in a trade, so I'm gonna back out of here. You guys do your thing.
Appreciate that. Yeah. So basically, we have a pretty large move to the downside, obviously. And what I'm looking for when we have those pretty large extended moves is for the market to look for some type of short-term bottom late in the day. But I've got to have a setup for that. I don't want to constantly be fading a market trend, which I define and I've written quite a bit about this as when we have single prints. And a single print is basically when, if you look at a 30-minute chart, which is what I'm showing now, basically where the body of this 30-minute candle doesn't have any overlap between the prior candle periods. So we have two sets of single prints, and the data from what I've collected with respect to single prints, I'm gonna actually delete this little box that I manually drew. So the data says that when we have two sets of single prints, so this is one of those days, it's very rare that we're going to close above both sets. So we could come back to this prior week high up here into this low volume area and test that. Um, but we're very unlikely to close above this. And so what I wrote a lot, or what I've written about on these, is when we're actively trending lower or higher, that you generally want to go with that move, right? Um, what I was looking for this afternoon is, sometimes the trend has to end and there's going to be some type of mean reversion play or just some type of rotation a little bit higher for for continued sellers to come in the market, or maybe buyers can rotate this thing up. And so back to the execution screen over here, just kind of walk through the setup. I actually saw some folks in the OFL Discord that took this same trade, but essentially into this low, we had a bunch of buyers tried to step in. You'll see this delta map flip means that we went from tons of sell pressure to buy pressure. This dominator is a study that measures the speed of the tape. And then we retested that and found again more buyers coming into the market. And so the idea behind this counter trade was to try to get as close to an entry to this low as possible. And I was able to manage this. I actually took an entry right in here at 87, scaled out a little bit at 100, and then got stopped out on the rest, and then re-entered this position once once I saw some of this negative delta come in here. And still, the trade still looks good. I've talked about that quite a bit as well. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the trade that I ended up being in before we got on stream. And to be honest, I probably normally would have taken the last runner out here at 144. And the reason for that is mainly if you look at the volume profile, we come through this low volume node. And then here at the top of this distribution that we can see, so tons of volume done in here, we get to the top of it and we get some offer side absorption with sellers start to initiate, lower. And so this is a great counter trade, to get basically a 40, 50 point counter move on the day, and to take profit at a logical area makes sense. But I figured, hey, we're on stream. We'll talk about it and see if we can't manage that trade, or maybe even look for some type of ad where we can add to this position. And as far as ads go, we're getting close back in this LVN. I would want to see this 100 area traded, and see if I can't get something ideally within that. Now, if this thing fails, yes, add into the LVN. Yeah, exactly. So the other thing though is that if this fails, I actually have this zone here marked out. This is the opening print from Sunday's open. That's a huge level of importance for me. I've talked about that quite a bit on Twitter. And so this 2049 area, I just made it a zone. I'd be interested in that as a counter trade. But if we do fail both of these as counter trade ideas, then I'll be hands off on trying to fade this trend move, because that's usually a loser's game. This was just a scenario where we're pretty far extended on the day. Oh, great. The leg to leg flip. So we can see what the deltas are coming in right now. So we'll be able to look at that. But, if we look at a 10-day average, we have 400 points in the RTH session. The average is 319. So we have 125 points that we've extended, or 125% an extension basically above the standard range. So yeah, we're a little extended to the downside. I think trading from the short side is very tricky. It's just as tricky as being long, because you don't want to get short into a potential, face ripping end of day rally, which I'm sure if you've traded long enough, that's happened to you, just like it's happened to me. So I would really love even shorting like a pullback, maybe up to 166. But it's kind of like, if we make enough progress from the long side up to this area, then it's kind of like, is the low of day in, and do we really want to
Yep.
be a counter trend trading now a new rally essentially? Sorry, I went on a huge monologue. Nick's here. Hey,
I'm
Nick.
here too, everybody. How's everyone doing? Yeah, I mean, Leo, I don't love fading trend days, especially trend days to the downside where we kind of are just stair stepping lower. I do think it's kind of wait for those little, whatever you want to call them, when we that we tend to have on those trend day moves down, where you get those kind of reflexive, whatever you want to call them, short covering little pops, those reoffers that then you can kind of join along with. I feel like you get those a little more when we get some get some momentum to the downside like this, but this has been pretty orderly, quiet. Then you get a little bit of a dump and then it kind of consolidates again. It's been a kind of like a slow death march down towards possibly the gap fill from Sunday, as you were kind of mentioning, that opening print.
Yep.
Not a lot of, I would say, momentum to the downside. I mean, I know NQ is down almost 400 points, so it kind of feels, it doesn't feel as worse as it could be, I guess is what I'm saying. It hasn't been, outside of that initial move off the open, just, violence to the downside. So how did everyone kind of handle this today in the chat? I had 5830s on ES marked as, if we fail slightly above it and come back into kind of the last 2 days of consolidation, that there was a potential short of that break of 5800s to kind of ride down. And I captured absolutely nothing of it. So one of those days where you can do all the prep in the world, you can have a plan and you're still just not ready to press buttons the right way. And then you're looking for longs like an idiot, like I was in the first half of the session. So I'm about break even today, across accounts, personal, everything. So I don't know. I've had a weird week with trying to recover from shoulder surgery and just not pressing as many buttons and not being as active in front of the screen, more or less. So at least the last 2 days have been good sessions to potentially just kind of be sitting on your hands. And then of course, you got to be ready to press buttons when you get a little bit more of that volatility that I think we were accustomed to the last few weeks coming in on a session like today. So I didn't do a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was really slow.
Mm-hmm.
The guys trading the close yesterday, I think it was very tricky to even find a trade in the afternoon session. Here we may have a couple opportunities. So I just added to this long. So now I've got a new average here. We're going to trade right into it at 90s. I really won't give this a ton of room because
Yeah, I was gonna say,
if we
kind of do or
continue to
die
push,
here.
yeah, it's basically it is. So because we're at that do or die spot, I'll take a chance on a couple of ads. I didn't do anything in this LVN because we did have a bunch of sell delta come in, but price continued lower. So I mean that just means sellers are still getting paid to hit this market. I think the best trade for me is down here for like a different counter trade idea.
Right.
So make a new low, test this, and then rally from there. That would be, something that I would look for on a trend move, either up or down, to be honest.
Yeah, I was kind of, when you were sitting in there, I was debating if you were going to cover around the, last week's high. And I think your anchored VWAP was sitting right around that same general area as well. That kind of made sense, where you could
Yeah,
potentially see a reoffer if you missed this downside to potentially join along with it for that new
right.
low. But
Yep,
we just didn't get
I'm
up
just
there.
gonna
Like you were
stop.
saying, seller stepped right in. Here we go.
So let's see what happens. We've got a poor low in ES and NQ. So I don't really think that this, I mean, we could rally from here for sure. It wouldn't be in my playbook to buy this right now.
Yeah, just kind of a tough spot.
Yep.
Yep. The low for Monday, a little bit lower than this too. Obviously the Sunday open and the gap up as well. So I would have expected, with the downside that we had, if they were going to fill it, they might have tried. But like you were saying, I think we're kind of at that, the ATR, or we're past it a little bit. At
Yeah,
least
we're
in my
past it
point.
by 25% past the ATR, the 10-day.
Yeah. And apparently we get some more announcement on auto tariffs towards the bell.
Oh,
So
fun.
who knows?
That'll be enjoyable.
It always is. At least they're like planned announcements versus the first few weeks of the administration where we were just getting the rogue tweets out of nowhere.
What's the blue box down in 2050? That's the week open from Sunday, from Sunday's open. Just as an area that I want to observe for potential long. So basically the idea is we break these lows, test this week open. It's a pretty large line for me as far as an area of, to look for potential counter move based on where we're trading right now. So that's just a manually drawn box that I did.
And Leo is showing the NQ chart if you couldn't see it from there.
Shy Girl says they're worried that it will include auto parts, so that won't bode well. What time is that announcement? 15 minutes.
Financial Juice said, I guess at the close.
Oh, great.
Let's see. Unless I can't do math. Yeah. Yeah, looks like the close. Are we going to make another new low?
Sure hope so.
Leo, all roads seem to lead back to that spot I think we were talking about last Monday, which is like that 980s spot on NQ. Because that would roughly, I think, even fill the gap from Sunday.
Prior week's value area high. Yep.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yep.
I mean, I would think you'd go, to 978. That would close that gap.
And new lows. Nice little violent
Nice.
flush there.
Get back over here. Come on, box. Give me 49.
One of these days, we got to start the fade your friend segment.
I'm going to start here. 63 and give it a little bit of breathing room. These are going to be very difficult positions to manage just because it is trend down, and this is counter to that. And I did, of course, get pretty much the worst entry I could possibly manage to get. So we just tested that week open right there at 50. I can see some buyers coming in, but we need to get pretty aggressive. If we push out of here, I'll add to this trade.
Leo, they said you are Saratoga Ice Bowl focused.
That's right. I did actually. So you guys don't know this, but before we got on stream, I did the face dunk with the Saratoga ice water. I actually made ice cubes with Saratoga water, so I didn't even cheat on that.
Yeah, it's getting a little bounce there too.
Oh, I see we're getting comments on the stream now. That's pretty sick. So we hit that week open. We see some buyers come in. Saw that print flip here on Delta Map. I got a terrible fill. So we'll see what happens. You were given the clue about the blue box. That's right. It's blue box sponsored by Saratoga Water. Just kidding. I don't know if I can say that.
Talk about not jumping all over that though. It's a social media phenomenon that kind of came out of it and still not a word, man.
They haven't said anything.
No. Makes me laugh.
That's bold.
ES still has a little bit further to go even for the Sunday open. Down towards 40s. Yeah, this has just been slow, stair-stepping, consolidation, little pop, move back down all day.
NinjaTrader official says this stream is not sponsored by Saratoga. Just clarifying.
We're in trouble. The collab nobody expected.
I mean, we are seeing buying here, so I'm going to stay in this. What I'd really like to see before I add to this trade is back above basically this low, the 280 low. Because we could just as easily come pop to 280 and then come right back down and reoffer again for new lows. So I'd want to see us get above that and then may add on some momentum.
280s. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I hate to see right now is we're at the lows and we're seeing a bunch of buying come in. We could see this on the leg to leg profile. If you had a footprint chart that would, that give you a similar view, you'd be seeing the same thing, but they're not getting anywhere. So under the hood, somebody's sitting on the offer passively, just offering this market. Sure, the profile. So this is the RTH volume profile. So this is just volume for the start of the RTH regular trading hour session. So other people call that the New York Open. And then this profile right here is a delta profile that starts at the leg right here from this high. And basically it calculates the ask minus the bid volume. So at price, right? So at every price, and it's combined to 8 ticks. So basically this is representing 2 points per volume bar right here. So when it says, 117 delta, that means there were at this price, there was 117, more buyers than sellers at that level as far as volume goes. Yes, exactly. Lots of buying going nowhere is pretty much what I don't love about what we're seeing right now from the order flow perspective.
Downside risk, what? Another
I mean, the 980s you
points.
called earlier.
Yeah, I was gonna say 80 points. He could definitely happen
Right.
with a good, decent move to break this low again.
Yep. Who is in a trade right now?
How's everyone traded today? I'm always curious how people handle this kind of downside volatility. Everybody green? I'm sure everybody's green.
I didn't get any great shorts on. I got a couple of scalp short and a couple of scalps long. I actually missed the pretty large liquidation from the open, unfortunately.
Leo, I was short 472 in an account that I was only supposed to make a small amount of money on for the day. I feel like it always
Jeez.
happens that way. You get that perfect entry on an account where it's like, nope, not really trading it. Just gonna lock in profit,
Right.
move on. Oops, happened to be the perfect spot.
Exited a short at the bottom at the blue box. Nice. Great trade, man.
That's a good cover.
Yeah. Now we're getting that delta flip. Man, this is a tight consolidation for the period that we're in. I mean, usually this period in the session has a better range. Is this profile a custom indicator? This specific one is because it auto calculates from every leg. I'm not sure if the NinjaTrader built-in volume profile has the ability to do delta. I think it does. It just may not have the values or maybe the tick compression. But we wrote this on our own basically to match what we were looking for. When I say we, the smarter people that are in the room, the people that know how to write code.
What
For
Leo's
Ninja.
saying is Nick and Leo definitely have not coded this entire system.
Definitely not.
You don't want me to even attempt it. You'll get something worse than somebody trying to create prompts to ChatGPT to create.
Oh, I actually did. I am a coder. Somebody asked about the 5-minute opening range mid on TradingView, and I was like, well, surely you can just talk to ChatGPT and code that up in PineScript. And I did. It took 15 minutes, and I was successful at that.
That's about the full extent of my coding ability too. It's manipulating some PineScript and then still having to play around with it, and then still asking somebody smarter than me what I did wrong because something isn't correct.
Yeah.
But there's a question in the chat. What happened to the sling? The sling's right here. I'm still in this dang thing for another 3 weeks at least. Hopefully 3.5. I'm already getting stir crazy. It's hot. It's like 90 degrees here in Texas yesterday. I was on a walk.
Is it really that hot?
Maybe. Yeah, it was
Oh.
like we're getting like weird. Of course, we're getting weird weather in North Texas. No surprise. But I'm like sweating on a walk with the baby and the wife yesterday afternoon in this stupid sling. Here we go. See if we're gonna break this low.
Come stop me out of my trade, folks.
We're gonna start the friendly fire segment where if Leo takes that,
You're gonna fade me
opposite and see what happens. No, I don't love shorting in the hole. I think it's a fool's errand, even in a downtrend like this, based on all the things Leo's been describing. There may be upside at the max, like 80 points, if you really got that full flush. But I think I could very easily get ripped. I think it's higher probability I'm gonna get ripped 80 points in the opposite direction, taking the short in the hole there. I would much rather have reoffered around like 165s, 170s, that previous week high.
up here.
Much more high probability setup to get
Yeah.
a long short than I am trying to short here around getting closer to 20,000 even.
Mm-hmm. Buyers are getting really, really stuffed here, jammed at 63. Yeah, I agree with Shy Girl. Hard to see people getting long. I think any reason for a counter trade is shorts covering. All right, so we have a new period coming, and very, very likely I get stopped out of this.
See if some algos turn on here to stop out Leo, maybe make a new low and then get us back into the same spot.
Don't be surprised if I get stopped out and then just re-enter.
And there's the turn. So far, so good.
Oh,
Those longs, those lows.
hey. It's a good sign. So let's see. Let's draw this. I'm still a little bit new to trading on NT. So I'm just going to draw this line right here, right about there, right here in this LVN. It's really pronounced now. And this is a great example of how you can use volume profile to structure a trade idea. And so basically what we'd be looking for is for this trade to go up higher, build volume up into the 290s, maybe the 100s, and then come and back test these lows. So that's support, resistance becomes support basically. But then also on the volume profile, my good friend Joe would refer to this as a low volume node retest, right? So an LVN retest, and that's kind of one of his favorite setups in the volume profile. So we would need to have the market rotate higher and come back to us this low volume area to add to this position for continuation.
I love when the chat knows you better than you know yourself. Leo
Are they?
fading double single
Oh
print.
no.
Oh no.
Yeah. I figured people were going to come at me for being long down here with double singles on the day. Do you guys have a low volume node indicator? No. I mean, the thing is that you can see them, you can mark them. Automatically drawing them is something that I've done because there are other platforms that do it automatically, but it becomes an error. It becomes a thing of like, that's a great piece of market structure to automate, but then I ended up with just too many lines.
Right.
And so I want to, when things are significant like that, I want to actually manually draw those versus having them automatically drawn. And I say that in spite of the fact that 99% of the rest of everything OFL does is automatically drawn. These boxes are auto drawn. This the leg profile is automatically drawn. A lot of the single prints, these are automatically drawn. This balance area is automatically drawn. I mean, everything is kind of like automated for us. And that's because I don't want to spend time drawing on charts, but except for LVNs, it's just a visual thing. I mean, I've got the volume profile here. It would be being able to see that is key. We didn't really spend enough time above that level to make it make sense. And getting this is an exhaustion marker from an order flow standpoint. So basically what it's saying is, we pushed up into 280s, exhausted into it, and now we're rotating back down. So I don't want to buy into basically a short-term exhaustion. What's the logo? What's the orange logo on your hat?
I think
That's the
red.
OFL logo.
It's those exhaustion bubbles, right, Leo?
It's the reconstructed tape bubbles
That's true.
that we're not showing, but basically reconstructed tape takes the time in sales and turns it into like a bubble format that basically has, the size of the transactions coming through the market are drawn as bubbles, and they change colors based on how aggressive that activity was compared to the past. Is there anything you might see with your tools to cause you to bail on this position rather than waiting for a stop? Right now, no. I think bailing on this trade versus taking the stop, yeah, I don't really have anything that I'd be looking for in this moment to bail out on the trade based on order flow. I think we got into the trade based on seeing some of the buying coming in at that weak open spot. If I had to critique this trade at all, one piece of it would be, taking profit up here at this exhaustion would be one thing that I missed as we were talking. But really trying to hold this trade for kind of a bigger idea in the moment. So if I was in a scalp and just looking for that little bounce, yes, definitely, I would have used this as an exit.
Still just kind of sitting on these lows.
Yeah, it's not
It's
great.
not great.
It's not great, but we're gonna hang with it.
I mean, let's see. The largest counter rotation has been like 60, 70 points. Okay. So there was a
This
large
one here. Yeah. Chat saying that everybody needs to like and subscribe.
Yeah, we can go full streamer here. Everybody shut up.
I got stopped. My YouTube stream's down. Weird. Oh, we're back up now. All right.
Mine was doing the spinning wheel of death for a second. We're good. A little exhaustion on that low there at 45s.
You think?
I just saw one print.
I'm going to do what you tell me to do.
So does that mean you're going to long it?
If you say to long it.
I mean, I think we already missed the trade if you're going by the way I trade sometimes, which is just stubbornly, it's already 15 points from that exhaustion. Like, you know what? No, it's going to come back. And then it never does. So I don't enter.
All right. We'll chase it.
Even though that might be your excess move from the
that
Monday
might have
open,
been.
and now we're back up. And
that might be what we've been looking for.
Yeah. So a lot of people ask like trades that I look for. That's the type of move out of like a previous day low, an overnight low, something where you get that excess push and then we get back into that area that I like to long. I'm not great at joining along with a trend up that's already in progress. I'm much better at taking out an MGI level and then joining along maybe with that rotation back towards to balance the point of control, something else to kind of give me a target from there.
It looks to me like the buying is a little more aggressive right now than it was.
Did you get back in?
Yeah. Excellent entry. Again, just nailed it. 62.
Jeez.
Basically right here.
Dan wants to know, is this going to be power hour or sour hour, Leo?
It's right now, it's sour for me.
It feels like
taking a stop out, and looks like I am in a terrible trade again.
That's what you get for listening to me.
Take a couple of more here.
That's also why team trading is just like the most difficult thing ever. It's like that hesitation, waiting versus like you see something, you react. You're a hotkeys guy. You press the button, you're in the trade, and you can miss moves that way too. When you're talking about it, you're thinking about it, you're discussing it with someone else.
Right.
Trade could be gone.
Let's see what we get here at 60. Every time we come up here into these 63s, just like earlier, now they're chasing up with bids, so this might help us get a push.
Leo, Full Tilt wants to know, how many re-entries would you give or allow a setup or an idea?
Oh man, it really depends. Usually like 2. if you get stopped, like if you, to me, it's you have a trade idea, you get into that trade. And if you get stopped out of it, that stop does two things. One, helps you, with your risk management. That's one thing a stop does, obviously, is, get you out of the trade because you think you're wrong where that stop is placed. Or it helps with your risk management. The other thing that a stop does is gives you time to reconsider, that position. So if you get stopped out, you have time to, just recenter, right? And that's a good thing. So if you recenter, you take the same trade and you get stopped out again, man, I would say you've tried that trade idea twice, it didn't work, time to move on. The worst thing you can do is continue to just fight, fight a move because you think you have a great trade idea and it's not playing out. You see how we're building volume down here now versus earlier, we just had like a little nub. I really hate this trade now.
Nothing wrong with, I mean, it's more your entry than anything else, like you were saying.
That's true.
Like,
Nick, you're
invalidated.
100% correct.
Because if you were sitting at 55s, 57s, you're like, all right, I'm okay. But at the top edge of that little consolidation, it's kind of like, yeah, this sucks.
Here, right.
Hey, Whit, good to see you too. Thanks for hanging out. Now they're going to stop out Leo again.
I cut the trade size down, so if they do, I don't want to take a stop here on full size, or not full size, but the larger part of the trade. The thing is if this does work, just like I described earlier, we have a clear path to adding to this trade to get bigger for, some type of larger move, but it's a counter trend move. We want to stay small. We're not trying to bang in here with the full position size that we can possibly get and hope this thing rotates higher. The idea is just, for me, this is kind of how I trade, is if I'm taking a counter trend type of move, just to stay small, let it play out, and then look for very logical places to get bigger if I want to get bigger.
Still no decision here.
Getting somewhere.
I mean, you still really need that pop of 80s.
Yeah, we need to pop up above here, test somewhere like in the middle of these, even this reoffer area, 100s. Watch that reoffer us back to this LVN and then add there. Because really the idea for this trade is not a scalp necessarily. It's more of an idea that we'll have some short covering going into the close potentially. So if we're going to have a short squeeze rally into the close, and I'm trying to express that idea, staying small is important because you don't want to get, run over by a freight train. But this is a very asymmetrical risk opportunity. See if we can't make some progress above this, all this absorption right in here.
We need ES to get over the big round number 5,700, or the S&Ps rather. So it's that time of the day when I can
57.49. There's a big LVN in ES. It's kind of the same thing. We need to get above that.
Yep.
Both markets are in sync, so it'd be great. Bought some 60s. Nice. Merritt bought 60s with me, helping me lift the this order book. Appreciate that.
I was gonna say, I bought one micro ES in my personal just so I could feel something here.
Nick's buying to feel something.
Just to feel something. And just to lift the ask with you to get this thing going.
Every little bit counts.
No, once we got over 5,700, I'm just like, I'm gonna join along with this in case we do get that pop here.
Kane's in at 61. Yes. Let's go.
You were on the TV. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Gotta see if we can pop this with some force at 80s.
Yup. Now there's actually two ways to play this. One, if we break this high with some momentum, we can add for a push, or we can just let it play out and come back test this LVN. That's kind of two ways I would manage to get longer, to get bigger in this trade. Gonna take a short here, fading these Furus. I'm not a Furu.
I think
you're in the wrong channel.
Furu here.
What's that, Nick?
I said I got nothing to sell you as a Furu, so
yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Furu.
I just press buttons, man. That is fighting words. The chat makes me laugh, man. It's good to have everybody here this afternoon. Everybody, thanks for hanging out again.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's fun. I mean, it would be terrible if we came on YouTube and had nobody to talk to. That would just be super boring.
That's why trading buddies are what they are. Without them, some of these lackluster days, like the last two sessions, would be the most miserable place in the world. But we can keep each other laughing, having fun.
All right, now we're getting a little bit of a push. So my trade idea is I'm going to stay small. The market kind of didn't scare me out of this full size because I was in 5. But, when I think Merritt said it best the other day, I appreciated those comments, Merritt, is that when the market's threatening your position, it's not you're not getting out of the trade from fear, but because your trade is in threat. So scaling down in that trade helps manage the risk of that position being in threat. And then if you do take a stop, it's not on full size. So for me in my style, that's really important that, the stops that I do take are generally in a quarter size or half size and not a full size. That's just how I trade and manage risk. But sometimes this happens, right? I was in 5 lots. I got out of 3 of them, and now the market's going where I originally wanted it to, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm still trying to evolve with my trading as well. Is I have always leaned more with taking like a full position off and not necessarily trailing out, let's say, a 25% of the full target or something like that, and holding runners. I tend to exit full clip and reevaluate or call it a session at that point. So I'm still trying to develop that logic
It's
of areas that make sense to take profit, limit your risk, still capture some upside, and then
right.
continue to allow the trade to play out further.
Yeah. Adding to winners is really, really hard.
Mhm.
And it's funny because I think we can all agree that adding to losing trades is a lot
Super
easier
easy.
than adding to winning trades.
I'm sure everybody in the chat knows how easy it is to add to a loser.
Nobody's ever added to a loser, right, chat? Nobody?
I highly doubt no one's pulled a martingale, a dollar cost average in futures, whatever you decide to call it. But I think we've all done it. We're all guilty of it. It's something we still probably all do if we're tilted one day. It's a habit that it's just probably one of the most difficult things in trading to not do, is to shake your bias of I'm right, so I'm going to add in or basically try to average in to a position rather than what you should do, which is flatten out and reevaluate.
Right. You'll do much less damage just getting out of the trade. Being flat is a beautiful place because you have no longer the bias that you had when you're in the position. If you're in a long, you're biased to the long side. If you're in a short, you want it to go down, right? Wanting something to happen is generally the worst thing that, it's a really bad place to be as a trader. You want to respond to what's happening. You want to have structured ideas, right? This idea is a trade idea. We used order flow to get into it with some pattern recognition. And the idea here is we, squeeze into this close. And I've got an idea to add to this trade if we come back and retest these 80s. And if we don't, then so be it. I'll just hold on to this position as long and as far as I can.
Holding for Valhalla.
The magic of improving your price. Exactly.
I think it would have saved me a lot of money in my early parts of my trading if instead of being able to add to a loser, if I had just hitting the flatten button instead. Probably would have saved me a lot of heartache in that first year, 2 years of trying to learn what I was doing when I was pressing buttons.
Yeah, getting out here at 100 makes a ton of sense. This is a reoffer spot that's highlighted right here by this box. And these are automatically drawn from OFL based on this down leg, right? So basically, it just takes this leg from the swing high to the swing low, and automatically draws a zone, retracement zone, whatever you want to call it, where sellers may re-enter, re-offer this market lower. So that's a great exit. And one of the great things about having kind of a structured way of looking the market like this is that normally I use the tools that we built to as targets for exits, and not always like I'm not looking necessarily to get short right here because I'm in a long idea that I think, if it works out, plays much higher. But and so I would target these as areas to take profit or cover. In this case, I only have 2 on, so I'm not going to really do anything. We're going to get this test of 80s and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the delta flips have definitely, I think, saved me from having trades come back towards break even at times because it's
Right.
made me either not shooken me out of a trade, but given me a reason to take profit because clearly there's something underlying in the order flow that has changed, and it is usually something's changed, like someone has stepped in and potentially going to cause at least a short-term reversal that could come back and stop me out or whatever it may be. But it allows me to lock in more profit when things like that fire against maybe what my initial read was.
Right. Let's see if we can't get a couple more on here.
Buyers have sucked all day.
That's right.
I mean, we take out the pajama trader buying this week, and we really haven't done anything or during
Yeah,
RPH
true.
as far as real new buyers kind of entering this market.
All right, so we're in 5 now. Let's see if this thing now rebids from this area. So we had some absorption here at 100. I'm going to go ahead and scale out of some of this trade if we get up there. Take profit. That's if the idea here is we have this low. We came back, kind of retested this LVN, used that for ads, and now I'm going to take that same swing point for take profits, and then hold for continuation. Looking for a retest of the 140s. So this is the value area low on the session developing. And the value area is basically just 70% of the volume conducted, right? So 70% of the market volume today, the low value area of that is 140. So that'll be a good reference point for taking profit. Once you're in a trade, you're mostly over looking at the DOM. Yeah, for the most part, I don't spend my time and effort obsessing over every little tick. I'll have it, in the corner of my eye just to see, try to catch like any significant changes in behavior. But yeah, I mean, I'm really not, obsessing about every tick that happens. Kane did, man. He crushed that short this morning. And then I think he got into a long that went. I don't know, Kane, were you able to cover that long, or did it not get to your TP? Yeah, watching it run to the full target. I missed part of your stream, but that was a great trade. Stopped at break even on the long. It was still a great trade. What were you going to say, Nick?
I was to say that is the worst when it comes all the way back like that, and then runs.
Yeah.
I didn't catch Kane's stream that day. What was it?
He was short actually from the overnight session from the Euro time frame. This is not looking good for me, honestly.
It's just the same move again. Little pop, probably short covering, and then another reoffer steps in. We go back down, make a new low maybe.
Don't say that, buddy.
Well, we got 45 seconds here till end period. What does the data tell us?
I don't want to say it.
A low in L period leads to a high probability of a M period low of the day.
It's like 70%. Yeah.
Oof. There you go. Is it, does it statistically happen more often to the downside or the upside, Leo?
Either way,
The same.
the odds, these stats are about the same.
Interesting.
Oh, we're getting a little, the buyers are getting a little excited here on the ladder.
I feel like I've said that in my mind about 47 times today.
The only thing that
those buyers
I did like about that push down, Nick, the only thing that I liked about this push down is it was a slam. It wasn't just like a grind.
That's true.
And now that we're seeing some pretty aggressive activity on the bid.
I've just had so much hope for buyers today, and every step of the way they have let me down and shook me out of my initial short idea for the week.
Nick bought when all sold.
I did get the initial long off 240s at NQ that we kind of did get a decent pop from, and I wrote it to 290s. I wanted full at like 315s, 320, and kind of just shook myself out of it, called it an early part of the session, and then gave back most of those gains. So buyers gave me one shot. I should have just locked it up, called it a day.
Yeah.
And gave back the gains.
I've done that before. And I'm getting burned so hard. My cook, we got the Delta flip. I mean, all the buyers are trying to do what we want them to do. And we're seeing, we can see that, in the order flow. I think the most important thing, if you use tools, indicators, whatever you want to call them, this printing doesn't mean long or short. And, we had a gentleman join recently. A lot of people will join OFL and will just be like, which indicator is the best indicator? And that just tells me immediately that person is not serious. I am very adamant about going through the educational material and making sure that you understand what this means, because it means something, and it doesn't mean just get long, just get short. Yeah. And we are really wound up.
And I think even with the EDU content, everything you guys have created, there still is such a onus of like, learn it, understand it, but then you still need a confluence of all of these things potentially working in tandem to give you a good reason to take a longer or short.
Right.
Like when some of those, like when you get a Delta flip or whatever that comes in and exhaustion, everything at a specific MGI level, that also makes sense when you're looking at something like the day's volume profile. Sure, you can stack all those up and potentially have a high probability setup for a trade. But if you're just, I mean, look at this on the whatever, on the 300 volume, 500 volume, whatever it is we're looking at on your screen. Like there's a lot of not necessarily false signals, but things that if you're not kind of paying attention to the other aspects of the structure of the session, like you can get yourself in trouble real quick.
Right. Yeah. Job is famous for saying structure precedes execution.
Yep.
And that's critical. You have to know what you're looking at from market structure standpoint, from volume profile, and the tools. The execution element of the tools are just a bonus to that to help strengthen your understanding of how the auction's progressing. Yes, is trying to build a little bit above the LVN that it's,
we're
57.49.
We're stuck at the big round number on SPX.
Again, it's not Gamma's fault today, Nick.
It's not Gamma's fault.
It can't be Gamma's fault every day. I refuse to allow that.
I mean, it's just trying to decide, are all of the 5,700 zero DTE buyers on the put side, are they going to be homeless at the end of today's session? And my money would be on those don't monetize, but I guess we'll see. So I would like to see a close above 5,700. So I'm sure everybody just was YOLOing into those puts today.
Now, okay, let me ask you this. When you trade 0 day, do you trade 0 day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you do the big round number thing as well?
No, because I usually want to be a little bit above it or a little bit below it. And you've seen me trade them sometimes. Like I'm very scalpy the same way I would be trading like NQ or ES with them. Like if I'm more so looking, I don't know, I use them intraday to maybe take a not necessarily low probability, but a reversal type setup. I express them sometimes in zero DTEs just because I just have a longer time horizon. I still use stops and everything else, but I feel like I can capture lower risk, more reward potentially with that kind of define whatever my cost is to get into some of them. But I'm still super scalpy, and much of it comes down to potentially making a move towards one of those larger big round number strikes, as Leo likes to say. If that's where majority of the volume is taking place on the chain, and then I'm starting to see the order flow in futures kind of guide or back that up, that we could make a magnet type trip towards it at some point during the session. That's kind of how I use it. I
Gotcha.
sometimes successful zero DTE trader.
I got you.
But yeah, we are just pinned around 5,700. Don't wake the Gamma up. She's sleeping. Felt like she's been sleeping all week. We haven't had any violent, major moves. I think you kind of had a decent move towards the close in MOC. I think when Stowe and XY were on yesterday. Yeah, that nice little push towards.
Yeah, that push, that run through almost the new high of day right before the close.
Leo, do you have a Discord community?
Yeah, I mean, OFL has a Discord community, and I'll pop in there, and do lots of Discord fun chat and stuff.
There's a lot of good people, good traders, good content in there as well.
Also, our YouTube YouTube channel has tons of free OrderFlow 101 content as well. So volume profile, time and sales, the DOM, great 101. Like if you're just a beginner trying to learn what OrderFlow is, what it's, how to use it. Job did a fantastic job of putting some material together about, some of the concepts that we're looking at right now. And it's free. I mean, it's just out there on our YouTube page. Hey, Nick, are you still on Top Step? Nick for a tick.
That's a loaded question.
It's a loaded question.
I'm recovering from surgery. If you guys didn't know, Leo's one of my mentors, been trading and engaging with him for a long time, learned a lot from him. So naturally, when the stream came up, I jumped at the opportunity to trade with him because it's always a lot of fun to learn and see him execute. And it's a lot of kind of things that I've based some of my trading on. So for the time being, I don't know. I'm kind of just hanging out, recovering, and we'll go from there. That's pretty much how I've left it at this point.
What's the YouTube channel? Just OrderFlow Labs. I'll type it in the chat. Every bone in my body wants to scale out of some of this position right now.
Leo, do you use time stops?
No. Do you?
I mean, I have frustratedly taken profit in situations like this.
Right.
Or I'm just like, you know what? We're not getting the move. I'm tired of sitting here at this point. I don't want to take a stop out. So I'm just going to exit a trade.
Do you think that helps keep your mental capital in check too, though?
I think it is, because I don't know. Sometimes when you see a setup where you're looking for the move, you kind of want it to not necessarily go right here, right now. But the longer I sit in it, in a weird way, like my mental will start to break down a bit. So for me, I just feel like I'm more likely to do something stupid thereafter if I were to get stopped out of it. Let's say that type of trade that I was thinking about, kind of just exiting and resetting and recalling it a session at that point. So I use them every once in a while. It could even be like, you know what, I'm putting stop break even. I've been in this trade for 15 minutes. The move hasn't happened, hasn't really moved in my favor, hasn't really moved against me. So I'm just going to, if it comes back to my entry, so be it. I'm out. But if it keeps running, then I'll kind of let it play out from there. But it's a weird, I guess, not necessarily strategy by any means, but it's a weird thing. I think there is something to it as far as the setup. It presented itself. It hasn't happened, and I don't want to sit in this for my own mental capital, I guess, at that point.
Right.
Here comes the pop. So there you go. Nick would have time stopped himself out of that trade and now been more frustrated, potentially missing this pop back up above 20,100.
I'm going to get out of some of this. We'll leave 2 on to go see if we can't test a little higher. Just kind of let momentum take this trade. We had absorption up here last time we were here, so just kind of using that as my take profit. Do you trade playbook setups, or all your trades all discretionary within a framework? That's a great question. I would say that 95% of my trade ideas are based on a framework that is very systematic. So everything that I look for a trade setup is automated and systematic, in the sense that I'm looking for the same thing every time and it's consistent. And the only thing that is discretionary is how I manage to get into the trade from an execution standpoint, and then how I manage the trade once I'm in it. Momentum take the wheel. Yes. So a volume point of control just moved down here. Basically, this means that the 80s is now the highest of volume traded area today. And volume indicates interest, right? So we've done a ton of volume down here at the bottom of the range on a liquidation day. That's a really interesting thing to carry forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's funny. ES didn't shift down. Still sitting up there above 5,800s.
I would think that ES pulls its volume. And I don't know. ES could rally to 77.
Yeah.
77 might be the logical area for ES to go to chase.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking at. You had a lot of volume that traded there earlier in the session. And yeah, that point of control is still sitting a bit higher at previous day low, basically. So definitely could see a shift down. You haven't seen that same level of volume down here on ES than you did in Q. Interesting.
Right. It was really heavy. Yep. Pull the chat back up. If there's no reaction from near, which is weak open, then it's extremely bearish for tomorrow. I would agree with that.
Is GDP tomorrow or is that Friday? Oh, we have
Friday.
Friday.
PCE Friday.
Yeah.
One thing I will do, just because we're getting close to that 50 algo, is I'll probably cover one more of this trade. Unless it just starts to run. If we basically are going to just sit here and consolidate, I might as well cover some of this at the top of this little mini distribution right here. If you see it on the volume profile, there's an LV in here, there's an LV in here. We've done a bunch of volume in this range, and we're at the top of it. And so before we turn on the 50 algo, I'd rather take profit at the top of the range when it's available. And I'll do that. So we'll leave one on. I'll pull my stop right behind here. If we trade below it and I get stopped out, that's fine. It was actually a pretty profitable trade, even considering the little stop out that I took earlier. The pain of this was just sitting in here waiting after I added. What did you say, Nick? I didn't hear you.
I said it was like the third time's the charm on that trade.
Oh, for sure.
Finally got that break above. But even now, still re-offered again right around 100.
Yep, exactly where they did it last time. They're
watching the stream.
Yep, they are.
Speaking of watching the stream, if you're enjoying today's stream
Nick,
during Power Hour, we've got 400 people watching in here, but only about 100 likes. Hit that thumbs up button if you have
100 likes.
trading power hour with Nick and Leo here
Hey,
today.
you guys can do better than 100 likes.
100 likes. Come on, hit that button. And we lost 5 viewers. Brilliant. Oh, we're having fun here, guys. Hopefully we'll see what the MOC algo does. Gives Leo maybe that last little runner to cover back up towards that 140 spot. Look at that. 158, just like that.
All we had to do was ask.
Thank you guys. That was
thank you.
177. That's what I want to see, everybody.
It's free to just hit the like button.
Helps us out, helps the stream.
Does it help us?
I have no idea.
I'm
not a YouTuber, man. I'm just somebody that yells on screen and presses buttons for other people, I guess. I'm sure it does. I'm sure it helps with the algorithm and stuff.
You are so popular, Nick.
I don't know about that, but if you like it more than once, it'll take away your like.
It's a negative. Can I pay to hit the button?
Extreme Skeletor says yes, it helps with the algorithm. That makes sense.
Kane, are you still long from 60s? Are you holding for the end of day?
We might get it. ES perking up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, ES has room to run. I mean, if we get above this LVN, we can definitely run to the other side of this distribution here. I mean, it's basically, we have a distribution, LVN, we get above it, we can go to the other side of this distribution up here. You are? Nice.
Penning the tape says, point of control is moving up. Can we get a push? Yeah, I could see.
We got 1 minute for the 50 algo.
Like we were saying, Leo, I could see that push in ES back up towards 75s.
See that big node sitting there at 77, just ready to be the close.
And you got the March VWAP, the 24-hour VWAP, and the RTH VWAP all kind of sitting in that general vicinity. Let's see. Let's see if it's going to need the help from the algo. There's no question.
We got 20 seconds.
Predictions.
What's the close? Somebody predict the close. And I'll give away something cool. I don't know what it is, but you'll have to send me a message somewhere.
Somebody tell us.
Can I get?
Wait, are we saying yes or NQ?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. There's a little push.
You want to see? Did you cover one?
Early before the 50, I did right at the top of this 100.
Oh, nice.
57.80. I like it. I like the 80s. Oh, the chat's moving now.
And now they're on it with us. Yeah, 75s. Dio says 57.55. Dio, we're trying to manifest a move upwards.
Wrong way, Dio. She's running, baby. Let the momentum take the wheel. This anchored VWAP is from the last major swing high. If we get up there, I'll cover.
As in 20,500, or are you talking from
right here, 140s?
Oh, swing high. Okay. Sorry, I thought it was the other anchored one you have that's sitting around like 150s.
57.39. Just going to take a screenshot of this. You can't guess after, and you have 1 more minute to guess.
Yeah, I had to guess the close with Gamma. The euro close didn't work.
Why? Isn't that funny? Kane, I used to trade ES, and then I created a Twitter profile just for ES because I traded ES, and then I started trading NQ like 3 years ago. I just never changed my name. And I like to confuse people.
And now he talks down on me for those days you just want that easy Sunday drive of trading ES. Today was not one of them.
1.4 million to buy in the MOC. Someone short 64 ES against 67. Will we close above 57.65? I'm gonna hit yes. We will.
I'm going to say yes too. Just looking for that final push.
Nice trade, Kane. Hell of a trade.
Kane, what was your entry?
60s. He got in the 60s with us
same one
earlier.
we were kind of a little late in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why'd you change from ES to or NQ? One day, just out on a whim, I pulled up an ES chart, kind of built a chart book, an NQ chart, built up a chart book, and just dabbled around in it. And I was like, you know what? This thing moves so great. I'm not a very patient person, so you can call that a weakness, but trading NQ kind of plays to that as a strength because I want the immediate feedback from the market that I'm right or wrong. And yes, it can kind of sit there for a lot longer before it actually goes and does something. And so I just kind of fell in love with trading NQ, and I haven't really turned back. I've traded ES a few times since then, and I hated my life. I lost money. I hate the pace of it. Everything about ES just makes me want to eat glass.
Okay. Well, now I have another question for you.
Uh-oh.
Have you dabbled in the YM?
Oh, gosh. I've looked at it before. I mean, I have never traded it. But Stowe trades YM, so he's always talking about it. But I've never actually traded it. I've watched the order book. It trades a lot like CL or
It kind of
CL or RTY, and I hate both of those
I
markets
don't
too.
like trading RTY.
Yeah, they're very finicky.
But I don't know. I always just laugh. I mean, does the chat do you guys trade YM regularly or just a random trade based on
cover
a
this
setup?
trade right here. I mean, it's a good trade. I'm gonna take the 50 points and be done.
That's solid. Let's see if we're going to close above.
I don't hate Shy Girl. I don't hate CL, the market. I just don't like to trade it.
I'm just curious if we're going to close over 57.70s. I know we said 65s, but it seems to be kind of acting as the spot right now.
I also don't know a ton of CL traders. And I think that's one part of it is, a lot of the people that I talk to on a regular basis, they're trading the same markets I am. So Stowe is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he trades the Dow. Maybe we can get him to trade the Dow tomorrow. The blue box did strike. We had this marked when we came on the stream. It was a great spot to get long, and yeah, a nice counter rotation out of there.
I mean, can we really say they are not watching the stream, Leo? We had the question in the chat: are we going to close by 57.65? And they just seem to be someone is just sitting on the off right there. So
interesting.
Tinfoil hat time, maybe a little bit. Are they watching the stream?
All right. So I'm gonna get screenshots of these guesses because I'm gonna.
Someone's probably close. I mean, we got 4 minutes left.
All right. I'll just announce on my Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, ES_F_Leo, I'll announce who won. And then you can just message me.
I know we were talking about a bunch of different asset classes to potentially trade. Leo, is there anything weird that you traded in a stint for a week or so?
Oh, yes,
Odd?
there actually is. There was a time where I traded copper.
See, metals I've always wanted to get a little more into outside of just GC, but the, platinum, copper, some of the others I've had interest in. I've never dabbled in, but I built a chart here and there and watched it for a week and then went, nah, I'm not going to do it. I have
Good
traded
job,
Lean
guys.
Hogs.
Oh, hey, Jim.
Jim, what's going on?
I don't know. I looked up and I was on camera, so I thought I'd say hi.
Oh, how's it going?
Hey, man.
Lean hogs. That's an outlier.
It's an interesting market. There seems to be one move of the day, and if you miss it, it's not worth trading.
63% says we're going to close above 57.65.
They're underwater right now, Leo. They came in at 65 and do not want it to close above it.
Well, when I said we were going to finish strong today with the OrderFlow Labs guys, that was an understatement, man. You guys, that was a great trade.
Oh, thanks. It was very tense for a moment or two or three.
It's like these trend days. I know you, we were talking earlier about, was it the L period and the K period doing different things?
Right.
On these big trend days, it's in my mind, at least in my experience, it's like 50-50 at the end. Are we going to keep going? Or are we going to retrace? It's a tough call.
Now the question,
that weekly open precedes my the new lows and M period for me. I had to take the week trade open. That's kind of like one of my best playbook trades, if you will.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of ignore the 70% stat, and thankfully it didn't play out.
I'm just sitting here. You all saw it on NinjaTrader Live. Leo fading 2 single prints live.
I did.
Hey, that's the name of the show.
But we still are going to close below those singles. So the 18.
So, wait, isn't the statistic just we don't fill them in the session, or the second set we won't fill?
Fill, I mean, close and fill. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess, yes, it's statistically still held up, and statistically you weren't fading for that whole move.
Right.
So grain of salt, asterisks, whatever you want to call it. But we all saw Leo take a long against 2 single prints.
Yep. We've seen it. Everyone's going to DM me now.
There's the
okay.
bell.
The close was 57.58.
Didn't make it.
57.58 and a quarter. Who guessed it?
I feel like someone had
50, somebody have 57.58.
58 quarter.
Brian. Oh, you didn't
Brian
guess it. You're just saying.
We'll
yeah,
check
he just
the
got it right now.
And yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Whoever got it the closest. Merritt got furthest away. So Merritt, there's no points for furthest away. Maybe we'll try that next time.
Come on, there's got to be a biggest loser bonus.
Yeah, a margin call.
Yeah, Nick, Merritt gets a margin call.
It's funny though. We were talking earlier, Leo, about the Sunday Open. We didn't get there. We're still about on the ES. We're still about 20 handles away.
Yeah, I saw that. I was glancing over and I was like, NQ tagging the week open and ES not being able to. That's just, that's great. I love that.
We still have another hour left in futures trading world. Anything could happen.
I've gotten in a lot of arguments about this, Jim. Let's not talk about the last hour of the session that doesn't exist.
Well, what I always tell people is this: this is kind of like midnight for teenagers, right? Nothing ever good happens after midnight, and then nothing ever good happens after this last hour.
I think that's probably a true statement.
Yeah. But I do believe we're going to have some announcements coming in this hour on this auto tariff business.
Oh, right.
So, but actually, so you got to be careful. Actually, if you
Let's do it.
Jim got to
Let's do it.
Jim got to watch my tornado chasing video.
that was just like a movie.
Isn't
It
that
was
crazy?
crazy.
Fun fact about that, that's the last time I've ever been storm chasing. Not on purpose either. Just my friend got super busy with his business, and I got super busy with life stuff, and I just haven't been able to go back out with him.
Well, is your honorary uncle right now? You're grounded from doing this ever again.
Fair enough. I'm too old,
Anyway.
man.
No, you're not. Oh my God. Anyway, I appreciate everybody being in the chat. We're going to do some chart. We're going to wrap up a couple of charts just really, really quickly here. Appreciate everybody hitting that like button, smashing the like button for these guys because they are awesome and they are going to be back. So having said all that, guys, thanks again. And I'm just going to pop up a chart really quick and do an end today. All right, we are done for the day. And remember, there could be some dislocating news here in a little bit. We've pretty much talked about the E-mini S&P. I mean, the big movers were the stock index futures, a lot of red on the board, at least at the top of the board. All the stock index futures took a hit, even in Germany at the Eurex exchange, the DAX and Euro stock, they're down over 1.5% also. So it was a risk off day for the equities. We had we almost, the average true range, we got close today. Actually, we nailed it today. 98.5. It's 98.83 on my market analyzer. So we finally got a little bit of range on the stock index futures. Currencies, with the exception of the Canadian dollar, which is oddly green right now, everything else, all the currency pairs are red versus the US dollar. So the dollar got a little stronger today across the board. Energies, actually, crude oil was up a lot. It was up 1.12% today, getting close to that 70 handle. Me and Shai were talking about this earlier today, but it met its highs early in the day. Gold's pretty much unchanged. Silver pretty much unchanged. So not a lot of movement in the metals. We did talk about let's just pull this one up really quickly. This is the Dr. Copper, and let's just take a look at a daily chart really quickly here. So this is an ominous candle today. I'm sure this is like a shooting star or a falling star or a gravestone doji. I don't know what to call it, but we had a huge run. Today we tried to run further. Sellers brought us all the way back down, almost to that 5 spot 200 level right now. So I have my eye on this thing as a possible turnaround doji. I know this is going to be news sensitive, and it may or not be the case, but I'm going to circle it anyway to think about it. Remember, there's micro contracts here, and they're great to trade. So don't discard these altogether. But this could be a turnaround. I don't know, but we'll find out. It's my radar screen is up on Dr. Copper. Treasuries are off. Yields are up a little bit. Like the 10-year is up almost 4.5 basis points, a little bit more than 4.5 basis points today. And this is probably a little bit of anticipatory going into the big tariff announcements. We broke through the bottom of my hamburger bun. It's just getting the bottom of this bun is getting kind of juicy, kind of sloppy. We could break through further, so we'll keep an eye on that. It will affect the 10-year yield for sure. So having said all that, tomorrow, let's pull up the Econo Day really quickly. I should know this off the top of my head. Tomorrow we have stuff cooking. We have GDP. What is this? This is January, February, March. So this is going to be a revision, I think. This is the last revision, is my guess. International trade in goods, Red Star event, jobless claims as usual, probably be at 215 or 220 again, but you never know. Maybe the layoffs will finally start picking off. The government layoffs might be in this number as well. And then Friday we have personal income and outlays, the infamous PCE number. So got a lot of work to do still, a lot of possibilities going into tomorrow and the next day. We are not done yet, Appreciate everybody being here with us. And remember, most important message of the day, please be safe out there and be good to each other. Thanks for coming.